Hello and welcome everyone to this exclusive live webinar brought to you by The Media Leader. I'm Omar Oakes, Editor-in-Chief of The Media Leader, and it's my pleasure to host today's discussion about how AI will supercharge subscriber loyalty and NPS in partnership with Media Distillery. So, over the course of this 1 hour discussion, we're going to uncover some of the secrets behind Ad Break Distillery, the AI-powered solution that accurately detects TV ad breaks on channels without broadcast ad signaling, as well as provide some analysis on industry trends and strategies regarding audience churn for pay TV operators as they explore new revenue models. First half of this webinar will explore the specific case study of how Swisscom and Media Distillery were able to supercharge subscriber loyalty and NPS. And then the second half will be a broader discussion about pay TV operating models. I know FAST, for example, continues to be a big topic of discussion, specifically how shifts in consumer behavior and the ad market are impacting strategy and what is likely to happen next. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is bring in each of our panelists one by one to set the scene for us in this first half before we get into a group discussion. In reverse order from who I'm going to bring in, we have Martin Prinz, who is Head of Product at Media Distillery, Philip Wittrich, who is Head of TV and Smart Products back in software development at Swisscom, more from them in a little bit. But first, I'd like to introduce Maria Rua Agueti, who is Senior Research Director, Media and Entertainment at Omdia. Hello to Maria. She's going to start off by setting the scene. This webinar will feature a good amount of detail, but first we need to remind ourselves why this issue is important to our sector. What is the state of pay TV churn in Europe and the UK and the US? What is likely to happen next over the coming months and years? So Maria, over to you. Hi.
Hello, and thank you very much for inviting me, Media Distillery, Media Leader, Swisscom, everyone. So thank you for this invite. And yes, these are the people talking today in this panel. And I'm going to show you some data, some of our key latest figures on the evolution of the media and entertainment industry in the video space. We call it the P2F, the pay to free. Why? Because we know that the video world is moving online, but we also see a trend that pay is moving to free as well. What do we mean by this? Let's start from the basics. We all know that there is a transition from growth coming more from the streaming world than for what we call traditionally pay TV. In fact, in 2028, we expect 2.2 billion subscriptions to online video services. Netflix, HBO, all the SVODs will have 2.2 billion subscriptions in 2028. So that means there is still a lot of potential for growth in the online space. It's not that pay TV is dead. Those headlines saying pay TV is dead, they are wrong. Pay TV will be stable around 1.1 because in some countries, yes, there is cord cutting, cord nevers, but in others, people are still subscribing to pay TV. When we look at revenues, it's also very important to distinguish between these two things. So here we compare the subscriptions, red line online video subscriptions, blue line pay TV subscriptions, but look at the revenues. Globally speaking, pay TV still generates more revenues than those online video subscription services. Hence the importance of many times there are partnerships between those telcos, pay TV operators, and all the streaming services, pay and free. So when we look at what has happened over the last years, we have seen that pink, pay TV versus online, purple, is not that there has been a lot of cord cutting around the world. In fact, the number of pay TV subscribers has been stable around 1 billion. What has changed is the appetite for video has multiplied, has increased massively thanks to the rise of online video services. So online video services will be the highest growth area with 2.2 billion subscriptions, as we said before, while pay TV will be stable around 1. In North America, things are different. Long time ago, already online subscriptions overtook pay TV. Also, the online video revenues will overtake next year all the revenues from pay TV operators. So in North America, things have happened many, many years ago already, and even revenues next year. Streaming video will overtake pay TV. In Western Europe and Latin America, things are a bit different. Cord cutting didn't happen so severely as in North America, although yes, even in these two markets, online streaming is the growth area going forward, with online revenues overtaking pay TV next year as well in LATAM and in 2027 in Western Europe. Now we understand that the growth comes from online, from streaming. What about all these conversations about advertising? The number one source of revenues in 2028 will be online video advertising. $326 billion will come from online video advertising. This includes broadcasters video, Facebook, YouTube, social video, Instagram, and those famous fast channels. Those famous fast channels will represent 12 billion in 2028. But again, looking at this figure again, you can see how high advertising is compared to pay TV, compared even with online video subscriptions, more than double. So that is not a surprise that everyone wants to be involved in one way or another with the advertising markets. We did this survey at the end of last year, looking at these markets, and we noticed that, again, the US, LATAM are very different from what is happening in Europe, but you can see in the US and Brazil how those fast services, now they come in the top 10 most watched services on a monthly basis. So you see in the US, Roku, you see Tubi, and in Brazil, you see Samsung TV Plus, Pluto TV in the top 10 services. Something that you can see as well is how YouTube is by far the number one most loved video service everywhere in the world. Even in Middle East, where I was last week, YouTube is the number one source of video consumption, being Saudi, the country where they watch more YouTube per capita. So here you have in pink free services, in light blue SVOD services, and Netflix always rank on the top 5 of the most watched SVOD services around the world. In Europe, public service broadcasters doing very well. And again, we cannot ignore the popularity of Instagram and TikTok, really popular everywhere around the world. So as I said before, the future is hybrid. Every single big studio in the world, they will have some kind of advertising strategies going forward. They all need to survive advertising revenues. They cannot produce content just with the SVOD window. All of them will have advertising tiers, advertising strategies going forward. And this is important to mention because churn, especially in the streaming world, is really high. It has been increased year on year, quarter on quarter. And here you have the UK in purple, pink, the UK. Both markets, you can see how huge churn is happening in video space. The good news is those operators, those SVOD services, they launch ad tiers, they have managed to retain some of those customers. So again, here you have these countries, US, UK, France, Germany, and Spain. And you can see what is called downgraders in green. Who are these people? These are people that they were considering to cancel the service, but when the alternative was to have a cheaper tier with ads, they decided not to leave the platform and to downgrade to an ad tier platform. So there are different types of churners. There are people like they go in there just for the free trial and then they leave. There are people that they leave completely. And there are people that they leave and then they come back. So they migrate a lot between different SVODs. And lastly, for this very quick presentation, never underestimate the importance of bundling, the importance of partnerships. People speak about the streaming wars. I speak always about the streaming partnerships, friendships. Those who more partners will survive. Being partnering with telcos is critical going forward. Is the number one, well, not the number one, but it's one of the most powerful tools to reduce churn. And no surprise, even the number one service in the world, Netflix, is out there always funding, looking for telco bundling, telco partnerships to reduce churn. And this was very quick, but what we'll discuss later as well is the power of AI, how AI will help in this world of content, to discover the content. For advertising, it will play a critical role.
Thank you for setting the scene so well. I'm now going to bring in Philip from Swisscom, who's going to talk about the particular challenge that Swisscom faced. Regulation has forced you, encouraged you into taking action. Explain to the audience what specifically, what change, what did you have to do?
Yeah, absolutely. The market, the TV market in Europe and the US, and especially Switzerland and the US, is indeed quite different. And I have to start with a brief overview of the industry agreement GT12, which is known as Common Tariff, and it's basically a regulation implemented in Switzerland to address copyright and advertising issues related to time-shifted television viewing. It was jointly negotiated between broadcasters, distributors, and collecting societies who represent the interests of rights holders. The agreement took effect in 2022. It ensures broadcasters receive compensation for financial losses incurred from viewers skipping ads during replay TV. Moreover, GT12 allows distributors to offer 7 days of replay, providing extended access to time-shifted content. Yeah, I forgot to navigate the slides. So under GT12, new forms of dynamic advertising have been introduced, which include short advertisements of approximately 7 seconds shown at the beginning of a replayed program. Ads shown when a commercial break is skipped during time-shifted viewing. And last but not least, static ads displayed when the pause button is pressed during live or time-shifted viewing. Most major TV providers in Switzerland are part of this agreement. They now show non-skippable ads during replay TV, replacing the original content's ad breaks to comply with GT12. The agreement includes a special premium tariff for customers who wish to fast forward or skip commercials entirely. Swisscom offers a replay comfort option that utilizes the premium tariff of GT12, enabling customers to skip commercial breaks on replay TV with pinpoint accuracy at the touch of a button. So why did we partner with Media Distillery then? Only 26 of our numerous channels participate in the industry agreement. It was a challenge to relay to our customers that the replay comfort feature would only impact specific channels. Consequently, our goal was to provide an ad-free experience on our most viewed channels. Originally, we developed an in-house solution for commercial detection, which yielded fairly good results on a few channels. However, we soon recognized the complexities in maintaining an AI model with adequate generalization capacity for all designated channels. Recognizing these challenges, we partnered with Media Distillery to focus our internal resources in other areas. The rollout took longer than expected due to the complex technological requirements and need for precise tuning. Despite this, the collaboration has been a success. We have seen a significantly increased Net Promoter Score among customers using the replay comfort option, providing an ad-free experience on our most viewed channels. Additionally, we observed similar scrubbing behavior as seen with GT12 channels, where we receive accurate ad markers from broadcasters. This consistency highlights the effectiveness of our collaboration with Media Distillery, enabling us to deliver a seamless and enhanced viewing experience. All right, Omar, so now it's time to prepare the video. I would like to show the replay experience to you on a channel which is not part of GT12. Remember, on these channels, it is up to the customer to skip advertisements using fast forward and/or skip buttons on the TV remote.
Okay.
So we initially pick a program via our EPG guide. You will quickly spot on the lower left that the stream doesn't kick off from the start. Rather, thanks to Media Distillery, we leap almost a minute into the stream to begin at the right spot independent of whether replay comfort is available or not. As the commercial starts, the customer is required to tediously fast forward using the appropriate buttons on the remote. With a little luck, or in this case, ample practice, the viewer returns to their desired content after a few button presses. All right, now let's revisit this experience with the replay comfort feature enabled. On the lower right, you'll see a pop-up offering to skip the ad. A mere press of the OK button takes the customer right back to the content. Nice. So with this, I will hand over to Martin or Omar. You can take it from here.
Thank you very much. I don't want you to run away just yet. Why not? I mean, you touched on it, but I just want to drill down into why not just build a solution yourself?
Yeah, again, I mean, it takes quite a few resources to build up an AI model and to maintain it and to make it generalized for all different channels out there. And we really wanted to focus our resources on other topics where we can generate even more revenue or customer satisfaction, and leave this task up to the specialists, in this case, Media Distillery.
And before we bring in Martin to talk about that in more detail, I suppose what advice would you have for other broadcasters? I mean, you were other pay TV operators rather, you were in this very particular situation where you had to do something. But as Maria began by speaking about, pay TV operators all over the world are thinking about how to improve user experience whilst being mindful of trying to further monetize the operations. What advice would you have for them in trying to embark on a project like this?
I mean, it's not just that. It's also, like Maria stated, to prevent churn, right? We have to differentiate ourselves from the competition, and that's one way of doing it. And maybe as a piece of advice, since I am an engineering manager, so from a technological point of view, it certainly helped to start off developing the feature ourselves, because it gave us some good insights. We knew the problem very well, and I think it helped us in collaborating with Media Distillery.
Good. Well, let's bring in Media Distillery. Martin Prins, hello. Maybe start broadly, explain generally what this solution does. And then I think we've also got another video where that might help you explain that a bit more as well.
Yeah, thanks, Omar. First, thanks, Maria, for setting the scene and sharing all the insights about what's happening in the world. It's not easy to see all the different developments currently. And Philip, thanks for already telling why people should work with us. That helps. It's the pitch for me, makes it a little bit easier. So thanks for that. No, so to get started. So I'm Martin, head of product at Media Distillery. Maybe not everyone is familiar with Media Distillery as a company. We're an Amsterdam-based AI-driven video analysis company that help video service providers across the world optimize user engagement, improve their viewing experience, and create new revenue opportunities for them. And I think that's already said by Maria and also by Philip. It's about making sure your viewers have a really compelling user experience, because they have so many services to choose from. You do not want to give them a reason to churn, which has already have been a big theme. Yeah, we consider ourselves a startup still, but we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary. So we've been around for a while, have been an AI company since the start in 2014. So we really are by heart an AI-driven company using a lot of technologies to improve video viewing experiences. And our foundation is our what we call deep content understanding platform, where we leverage all kinds of video analysis, all kinds of AI methodologies to understand what really video is about, and create meaningful and actionable metadata for our customers like Swisscom. To give you an idea about the scale, we process thousands of channels on a day-to-day basis, 24/7, which currently amounts to approximately 30,000 hours of video per day. our system is designed to run fully automatically and in real time, because for many of our customers like Swisscom, a lot of the value that they want to have is about for catch-up or live or replay viewing. So the sooner we can give the valuable data, the easier it is for them to use. And with that, we reach 30 million households. So diving a bit more into AdBreak Distillery, I think it's just good to start with the video. So Omar, if you can show that video.
Okay.
So the product is called AdBreak Distillery, and basically what we try to do is identify where in the video, where in a broadcast do the ad breaks appear and end. So when do they start and end? We do this by analyzing the video signal in real time, and then try to basically have trained the system to identify when the ad break would start or when an ad break would stop, and give that information as metadata to our clients, which then can use it for several use cases. So one of them already mentioned by Philip, it's about enabling ad skipping. So as a premium option to some viewers, this will not be for all viewers. Another option would be to improve trick play restrictions. So some of you may know that sometimes broadcasters will not allow you to search forward or seek in the content because they do not know where the ads are, and they are forced to show the ads. And we enable them to make sure that people can interact with the content in the other places, which makes for a way better, compelling user experience for catch-up replay. But we're also looking at identifying the ad breaks in order to support ad replacement. This is something we're working towards currently. And I think that fits in well with the developments in the world, where what Maria already told us, that ads are an important part of video. Video services would not exist without advertising. But it's also making sure that you offer compelling viewing experience to your audience, where the audience also changes. There's not one single viewer that meets where with one product you meet all needs.
Okay, thank you very much. What issues did you run into when doing this? I mean, this is this a completely bespoke solution, or people watching this, is this something off the shelf? And what issues do you have when creating it?
Yeah, so I can elaborate a bit more about how the solution worked. In the end, what we said, we built AI-based solutions, and what people know with AI, there's always uncertainty. I think the last few years were really great for people experiencing ChatGPT, that it works quite well, but not always is perfect. And that's also part what we saw with developing this solution. I think Philip already elaborated on it a bit. We try to really train an AI system to identify what is content, so what is part of the programming, and what is part of the ad break. So we're not trying to identify this is the McDonald's ad, or this is an ad for a beer commercial. We're really trying to learn the system. Can you tell me what is content, what's part of programming, and what's part of the ad break? And we saw that initially it worked quite well on a few channels, but we really saw that it was becoming difficult to generalize it to all the different channels that, for instance, Swisscom has, but also some of our other customers have. But by giving enough training material, so I think we trained on about 30,000 programs, which amounts to 8,000 hours of annotated labeled data. So we really had people annotating the videos. What is ad break? What is content? We were able to train a model and make sure that on channels we didn't saw before, the model started to perform. So it was initially the startup phase where it was really challenging to make sure that the model performed well. But now, once we got that on the road, for us, if we now enable it on a channel that we haven't seen before, with ads we don't know, it still is able to detect. And then we still might need to do some tuning, but it's just minimal. And that is really great, because that allows us to scale to all types of channels.
And specifically, I mean, you mentioned when you were founded in 2014, and by the way, you can find out more about Media Distillery in the About section. But you mentioned you've just done 10 years, well done, and you've been an AI company from the start. Now, a journalist like me covering this industry would think that AI started with ChatGPT a couple of years ago. I mean, specifically, how are you using the AI element of this to work for this platform?
Yeah, so I think in the end, what I said, we are an AI-based company, but we don't mean it in the branding marketing type of sense that now everything can be solved by AI. We really started from the get-go about thinking about where do we see needs from our customers, which are video service providers, where one of the challenges is make sure people can find relevant content quickly, or they cannot find the topics they're looking for, or have engaging video experiences. So there was really where we saw that a lot of the content that customers like Swisscom have, they already have great metadata for everything that's on demand, but especially the live, that's a gap, because also doing that by hand is really difficult. So over the years, we built a big tool set where we try to leverage the latest AI technologies, so also the large language models, which people now are familiar with due to ChatGPT. But it's not just about the tool. In the end, it's about when I sit with people like Philip, it's first starting, what are your outcomes? What are you trying to solve? And not, let's use AI for everything. In the end, it's about trying to solve the problem, helping Philip and other operators reach their outcomes, which is higher engagement or increase NPS, or make sure people find content quickly without needing to seek for 15 minutes.
Maria, what are your reflections on this? What do you, the research that you've done looking at what all the broadcasters are doing to avoid churn is the big word we're talking about. How does this compare, this work that Media Distillery and Swisscom have been doing?
Yes, churn is a big problem, and it's increasing year on year, quarter on quarter for all the video streaming services, the different reasons. One of the main reasons, in fact, many times people are saying there is nothing to watch. So despite having a catalog of thousands of hours, one of the reasons they give is there is nothing to watch. And that is due many times for a bad recommendation tool that doesn't know how to recommend the content the consumer wants to watch. So improving those recommendation tools are critical to retain some of those people that they leave because they think there is nothing to watch. So again, that's why we believe AI will play a critical role in better recommendations, better algorithms for people to find that content.
Okay. I'm going to start getting in audience questions. But here's an interesting one. So for you, Martin, is Media Distillery only being used on non-GT12 channels?
Yes. So what we see, and I think Philip, you can elaborate first. I
guess that's one for me. Yes, it is only used on non-GT12 channels, since we're receiving the markers from the broadcasters for the 26 GT12 channels. There's no need for us to process them by Media Distillery.
But to elaborate it from our side, what we often see with all of our products, also with EPG correction, which also Philip pointed to in the video, detecting the start of the program. So for catch-up replay, you press play, you see the program starting instead of the ad break or the previous program, or you miss the beginning. For many of our customers, like Swisscom, they get content from really many sources. And some broadcasters might be able to provide these time markers for the ad breaks, for instance, the GT12 broadcasters in Switzerland, but for many channels this is not available, and it can be for technical reasons, so that the systems at the broadcaster do not support it, or for other reasons. But in the end, the viewers, so the end user, sees the experience, and they will look at the operator. They will say, "Hey, why isn't it working? It works on this channel and it works on another." And that's just in general difficult to explain. So we really see where we add value is where you do not have the information but still want to offer a consistent experience. That's where we also say it makes sense to use this solution, use AI, if the alternative, the markers, are not available via different routes. To make sure, like what Philip said, there's a consistent experience across the entire catch-up catalog.
Are there any content rights that prohibit the skip feature, or is this something particular in Switzerland? So that's an interesting question. So surely, as part of getting content rights to show certain programs, you wouldn't be allowed to do something like this. I mean, does that happen?
Exactly.
And if so, how do you get around it?
So I think in Switzerland, it's a quite unique situation in Switzerland with this GT common tariff, and there's more than just common tariff 12. There are other contracts. And basically on channels which are not part of this agreement, we are allowed to do what we do. And then certainly for pay TV channels, there are different rules because we have individual contracts with broadcasters, which we must adhere, obviously.
Yeah. Please do
Omar.
ask.
Maybe to elaborate from my side, because indeed we're working with Switzerland, but we are active in across Europe, in Latin America, in the Middle East. We do see, of course, in Europe, every country has different dynamics. So the use case that Swisscom has may not be supported in all countries, but we do get requests from other countries as well, where this solution might be of help. Even we get questions from broadcasters themselves to help them identify where ad breaks are, while actually they're producing the content. So this should technically be able to do it. So we see that it changes per market, whether it's for skipping or for replacing ads or for improving clickbait restrictions. We are not in the game to remove ads just because we're going to remove ads and good luck broadcaster or advertiser. That's not the intent. The intent here is offer options and make sure that viewers have the option to have an ad-free experience or a better viewing, that they pay for it as well. So there's also a monetary value combined to it, which of course is also part of the agreements many of our broadcasters have operators across our customer base. So it's also about, in the end, we really believe in try to find a common ground where you help the viewer, make sure that the viewer stays happy, and offer choices. And I think that's also what Maria referred to, that also the SVOD services, you have completely ad-free, premium, you have ad-supported, you have completely free services purely based on ads. That's with FAST or with AVOD. And I think it's a combination of those. It's not one model fits all, but in the end, do make sure that your viewer has a pleasant experience. And if they aren't, that there's an option to fall back to, also what Maria referred to. Is that people that may downgrade a package, but actually for Philip, it's not a downgrade, it's actually an upgrade for Swisscom. People get into a different tier.
Is it simply that, in terms of user experience, it's just as simple as fewer ads, the better on pay TV, and that's the best way to reduce churn? Or is there more to consider than that?
I could give it a start, Maria, while you think about the answer. So for us, what I see, it depends. So what we see is that, for instance, like for linear TV, next week we will have the European, the UEFA Cup. There you will have your 15-minute ad break between the first half, second half. People don't mind. It's a live setting. You go for a drink, you catch up, you see nice ads. People don't mind it much. But in a replay setting, probably it will be difficult to say to people, watch the first half, 15 minutes of ad break, and then continue. And that's the same what we see with replay, that for live setting, there might be a movie with 6-minute ad breaks in a total movie of 2 hours, which becomes 3. For live might not be an issue, but for replay, people don't accept that anymore. And that's where you maybe want to have shorter ads or shorter, like more about what we know from online world, right? Or what we know from Netflix or from YouTube. So it's about making sure the experience meets the needs of the viewer. And it's not about no ads. It's about making sure you find the right balance between the amount of ads. And that's some of the things we are also looking at from our end, is also identifying, maybe you want to put ads at different places in the content to make sure you do not get a frustrating experience that in the middle of a sentence, suddenly an ad break appears, which ruins the user experience. Or offer contextual relevant advertising. So we also analyze the content itself. So we can identify, hey, maybe this is a travel show where people are traveling to Portugal. This might be nice contextual information for an advertiser who wants to sell tickets, airplane tickets to travel to Portugal. So you can make contextual relevant ad experiences without interfering with the privacy of the viewer. You just look at the content. You do not look at the viewer. So it might also be in in a GDPR friendly setting, might also make way more sense.
I would also quickly, sorry, Maria, I just quickly also want to jump in. It is not in our interest to skip all the advertisements. I mean, we know that advertisement pays for the content, and we are certainly interested in high quality content. But companies like Media Distillery, they enable us to do different ways of advertising, stuff like we see for with the fast channels and others, right? And yeah, maybe now you can jump in, Maria.
No, I was going to agree with both of you because it's not remove adverts completely because, as I said in my presentation, advertising is super important to produce content going forward. Is new ways to deliver those adverts. Obviously, it's very important when those adverts are happening, at what time when you're watching the content those adverts are coming, how relevant they are to the content you are watching. And then there is another big trend, branded content. So many SBOT players that are now introducing advertising, it's funny because they have advertisers saying, this content is brought to you by us, so you don't have to watch adverts. But anyway, that it's an advert on itself when they mention that. And then another important topic we didn't mention it yet, is shoppable TV as well. When, apart from the advert, you can buy something in that advert, and then you are in a win-win situation. So advertising is a very interesting topic. It's our hottest topic here at Omdia. It's the one we get more queries, because it's not just get rid of adverts, it's how to make sure that the adverts are enjoyable for those watching the content. And it can be different ways to enjoy that content, like content we produce co-branded by an advertiser, brands acting as producers themselves. There are lots of win-win situations where advertising can enhance what the consumer is watching. And we did another very interesting study with Netflix, people that they have ads with those without ads, and people were very engaged, both in the ads and in the non-ads. So when they see value in those ads, it can be pay less, or it can be not that many, an overdose of advertising, it can work. So it's the right amount, the right content at the right time, what can work. And yes, it is needed. Advertising, as we saw in my chart, is number one source of revenue going forward. So it's about innovative ways of delivering those advertisements.
I have a question for you, Philip, from audience. Have you done a survey on how customers compare fast forward through ad breaks with the ad skipping button?
So what we do measure is how often the feature is used if you're subscribed to Replay Comfort, and we analyze the scrubbing behavior to compare it to channels where we receive markers from the broadcasters. But I'm not sure I understood the question correctly.
Please, questioner, please feel free to clarify in the chat. But
exactly.
I anticipate that the what they're getting at is are there any qualitative things that you've gotten from your customers in terms of them giving you feedback on how the things compare, fast forwarding through the ad breaks versus just ad skip?
Feedback. We didn't receive much we hear feedback when the markers are not accurate, obviously. But apart from that and from the measured NPS difference, we didn't really receive feedback.
I think it's also, what I know from this cooperation, but with also the other operators, we're obviously trying to measure what the effect is, because we don't want to have a solution that doesn't really work. So what also was for us interesting, what we did with Philip, is say for channels where you don't have it, the before-after comparison, like people scrubbing all the time because they're doing it, compared to when they have the skip function enabled, and whether the detections also match what I think they do. And I think that's where we definitely saw the behavior changing in a positive way, what we wanted to achieve. But we also see it with other customers, like once it is working, people assume it is working, and only when it doesn't work, then people might what we see with other customers, not with Swisscom, they might complain that, hey, it's not working, or my recording there's something wrong. So that's often the case before you introduce such a solution where you have complaints that you can measure, or qualitative research. And then once you introduce it, then it becomes part of the norm, because people expect it to be there.